All right, YouTube, we're back. Okay, had the wrong microphone on there. We are now there. Okay, we're back on YouTube. Sorry about that, and Facebook. So apologize for that we did not have it set up. Okay, we're back on now. So here we go. Audio is here. Yeah. All right, technology, you gotta love it. So you probably missed everything that I just said. All right, let's start all over. Let's get reacquainted. Let me reintroduce myself. I'm Tony from Sixth String Corner. I now have a microphone that works. And what I'm going to talk to you about today are bar chords. Last week I did a little bit of bar chord, a bar chord lesson last week where we showed some songs. And but before that, I got into the 4 basic primary shapes that you're going to need to know, the 2 minors and the 2 majors. There are obviously other bar chords out there, but and we talked a little bit last week about getting your fingers in shape to play a bar chord and how to properly hold it. Now I'm going to review that today. If you're on YouTube, I'm going to make sure that there's a link somewhere up there that will take you to the other lesson on how to on how to get your fingers to play the bar chords the right way. Okay, so that's what we're after here. So anyway, so let me give you a quick recap from what we did last week. When we do the bar chords, let me get that angle here for the camera. Here we go. All right, so what we did on the bar chords is the first thing I did is to get your fingers in shape. And one great exercise is that finger slam. I don't know if you've been doing that, but the finger slam works out really, really, really good. And then we put our thumb halfway down the back of that neck and just basically slam the pointer finger, or if we're using the ring finger, the same thing, using a ring finger slam. So either one works. And just keep doing it, see how long you can do it for, right? And try and get those fingers in strength, you know, get some strength into those fingers. So that was one exercise we talked about. The other one is I went over the 4 bar chord shapes. And I'm going to get into that in a little bit because I got some more information on that. So we talked about some songs, but I have an exercise here that I think might interest you if you're still working on bar chords, and especially bar chord and transitioning from one chord to another. We did a little bit with the songs last week, but I have an exercise here that would it's pretty easy to understand, and hopefully I understand. I'm not saying it's easy to execute. It's going to depend on your skill level. I call it a zigzag pattern. What is a zigzag pattern? Some of you who are current students probably already know how to do this. If you don't, let me explain this to you. What we do is we take a bar chord, we take a shape with our fingers. And in this case, I'm going to do the F major. All right, so here's an F major. Which looks just like this right here. All right. There's your F major bar chord. It's usually, hopefully it's going to be easier for you to play. All right. So now we take that shape, and now just look at just where the pointer finger is at. Okay, if you just look where that pointer finger is at, and then I'll explain this a little bit in a second. The pointer finger, which is the root note, is going to trace a zigzag pattern. It's going to go up to the B, second note, the second fret here on the A string, down to the third note on the E string, back to the fourth note on the A string, and you're going to go back and forth. Now that root note is going to trace itself in a zigzag pattern. So now what does that mean for the bar chords? So now we make the bar chord, we hold that shape. Now the pointer finger, remember, is going to have to go to that second note, right? But we hold this shape. And what we're doing is we're forming a B minor, okay? So this is an F major right here. In fact, let me give you a close-up with the camera. All right, give you a real good close-up here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the first shape here, which is that F major. All right, and then we're going to move it up to the B minor. So you see how the pointer finger is tracing its way from here to here? It's a zigzag pattern. It's going to follow like this. All right, and then from that B minor, we come down to the G major, which is right here. All right. And then we go up again in the zigzag pattern, keep going. That's a C sharp minor. And then we go down to the A major. And we just keep going in this manner. Up, down, just like that. All right. Oops, right out the camera there. Right like this. And we're going to stop on the 12th fret right here. That is an A minor chord. All right. So now that's the pattern that we're going to do. Now I'm going to show you in a second how that's going to play out. So what we're going to do here is next go back to the F major. All right. Now, when I'm trying to hear how bar chords sound, or any chord really, and you're working on a chord, the worst thing to do is to just strum it right off the bat. Okay, just go. Because if you're still working on them, it's really easy to not hear the notes that you're missing. Okay, if that means anything. So what you'd want to do if you're starting out, if you're just figuring this thing out, is you're going to want to pick the notes individually, just like this. There we go, so you can see it. So you want to hear it. Pick them individually. Why do we want to do that? Well, because if you have a bad note, you're going to hear it. You have a bad note there. So what you do is you work on that note, get your finger in position until you hear it. All right. Same thing. Keep going. Fix it. Because if that's a bad note, if you just strum it, you're not going to hear it. Right? You want to be able to hear the bad notes so you can correct them. And you can take this zigzag pattern and you go up and down, up the neck. So hopefully you'll get to this point where you can pick them all. Now, the other reason I like this exercise is that the frets, of course, they get smaller. And as they get smaller, your fingers got to get a little bit more squished in, and you got to change your hand angle. So it's very different from here to up here. So you're going to work on that and make sure, because it feels very different here than it does over here. And in fact, these three places. All right. So now we end up on this 12th fret. Now what we do is we keep that same shape, and we just take it down like this. From here to here. All right, and that's an E major chord right there. From here to here. Now we just went to an E major, and now we're going to take that zigzag pattern in the opposite direction. So we're going to follow in this way. All right, where that root note's tracing reverse zigzag pattern. So now we go E major, and this right here, which is a G sharp minor or an A flat minor, whichever you want to call it, to a D major, and you just keep going back and forth. Just going in the reverse zigzag pattern. You'll end up right over here on this B flat minor. So now the whole exercise goes like this. You go up and you go down. Once you got the notes good, then now you want to strum it. All right, now a couple of things to note too. You want to make sure your thumb, whenever you're playing these bar chords, is back here. All right, always back here. Don't have your thumb flopping around all over the place. You want to make sure that it's pretty steady as you're going back and up and down that neck. Even when I'm doing the I'm moving my fingers in a zigzag pattern, the thumb is actually tracing. I don't know if you can see it here. It's actually tracing a line right down this way right here. All right, and that's and so you want to make sure you keep that in line. Just your fingers and your wrist are moving. The thumb stays the same. It's just finding its way down and then finding its way back. Okay, so that, my friends, is how you would play that zigzag pattern using this shape. Okay, so this is the F major. Sometimes we call this the E major shape, which is based off that E major chord, which we play like this, but we could play it like this, and then we would just move it over. So that's what this one is. This is what they call the A minor shape, because it's based off this A minor shape. We would normally play it like this, but we could also go like this and bring it out. So we're going to do those two shapes as we go back and forth. Now, you can do this with different kinds of chords. Now we can go the reverse. We can do the minor. We can go F minor, all right, to a B major. Minor, major. So now we're doing the shapes. Now the shapes are a little bit different. So a couple little tidbits here to learn here. So if we can back up, when we're doing this Sorry about that. So when we have the when we do this shape, if you notice, I'm keeping the fingers in that shape. I'm not doing this. Right? We want to learn how to get to those chords right on time. We talked about this last week with the songs, right? You need to arrive on whatever that beat is, so that you get that sound right there. So you go back and forth, but make sure that you're holding the shape. Now on this other thing, we're going from the minor right here to the major with the root note here on the B string, and we keep going back and forth as we trace that zigzag pattern. Okay, just like that. All right, and then you follow up until you get to the 12th fret, which would be an A major, and then play an E minor, and then go backwards. So just to summarize, there we go. Notice I'm picking and not strumming. Why? Because I want to hear all the notes, that they sound good. Okay. All right, so that is called the zigzag pattern, and I use that quite a bit to teach students, and I also have used that myself way back when I was trying to get these bar chords all figured out, because you know, they were essential to know, and they're essential to know not just because lots of songs require them, but they're also not required. They're actually essential in your repertoire so that you can, how shall we say, get yourself out of a bind. All right, and I've done this. Somebody's trying to figure out if I have an open umbrella in the room. Yeah, well, that is photography right there. So I actually have different umbrellas. I have two of them right here that are making me so you could see me, and that also is see me. So anyway, get out of that. All right, so the what was I going to just say? I just lost my train of concentration. Oh, right. So bar chords. Bar chords are your friends, and they're not your enemies. I know they're hard to do in the beginning. I know when you're trying to learn them, it's just they can be really frustrating. But trust me, when you get it, it will get you out of binds. I mean, I have sat in with jazzers. I'm not a jazz player. I do not profess to be one. But I have sat in with jazzers and was able to do it because of my knowledge of bar chords and how I could use them to get myself out of jams. Because, you know, in jazz, you know, you're not going to have normally just majors and minors, right? I mean, they're there, but you're going to have minor 7, major 7, minor. I was like, ooh, wait, what are all these things? Well, just by moving your fingers around different shapes, and, you know, once you get that down, you get that finger memory down, that it'll get you out of a bind really quick. So that's what I'm going to show you right now. Now I've got my screen sharing. I have figured this out. I am so happy that I figured this out. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to share the screen. And what I'm going to do is, hopefully I can get this on the personal site too. I don't know if I can. Okay, if you're on my personal site, you might not be able to get it. Well, you're going to still see me though. I'm still going to show it on my hand here. Yeah, it's not letting me do a screen share. All right, well, that's awesome. All right, so if you're on my personal site, just bear with me. I will still go over this, and I'm going to show you how this works. So, all right. So on the if you're on my 6 String Corner Facebook site, and if you're on the YouTube, you should hopefully see this. So, all right. So let me go to this diagram right here. There we go. All righty. I'm hoping you guys can see this. You should be seeing it right now. So last week we talked about these 4 bar chord shapes. All right, so let me slow it down real quick. These are the primary ones. They are not the only ones. They are merely just the main ones. Okay, so there's the major bar chord shape, which is like this. All right, with the root note on the E string. There's the minor bar chord shape of the root note down here, which is just basically lifting the middle finger up right from here. And it's really important when you're working on these. I see when people try to work on this minor bar chord, this is why you want to pick individual notes. This note here oftentimes is the hardest one. This one right over here is really hard. And so you want to make sure that you hear that and not that. Because if you don't hear that note, it doesn't make it a minor. It's just, that's what makes it the minor. Then there's a minor bar chord with the root note on the A string. Okay, which looks like what you see here. Okay, we went over that. All right, and then we have the major bar chord, which is actually using the third finger to bar. Okay, this is not true here on the diagram. That note does not exist. So just the middle 4 strings. Okay, so now I'm going to give you a quick down and dirty how to find and make your other chords. All right. So when we go back to this chord right here, this major bar chord. Okay, this one right here. For those of you who don't have the diagram in front of you. All right. What we want to do is we can make a major 7. I'm sorry, we want to make a 7 chord, and all we do is we lift up this pinky finger right here, and we make it a 7 bar chord. And as is the case on all bar chords, you can play this anywhere. And as long as you know the root note, that's the name of your bar chord. So there's your F7. I know this is an A flat or G sharp, whichever you want to call it. And that's a 7 right there. So if you need to come up with a A flat 7, how do I play that? You know where the A7 is? Play the A, look at where your major chord and just lift up the pinky. And there is your congratulations, you can play a 7 bar chord. Now, the 7 is not to be confused with the major 7. Major 7 is a different thing. I'm going to get to that in a second. This is a 7. So when you see a letter like A flat or C with just a 7, that's what this is. Okay, sometimes called a dominant 7. All right, and that's with the root note on the 6th string. Okay, let me skip this here. Now we can take that 7, all right, and make it now into what's called a 9 chord. Now there's a couple different ways you can play 9 chords, but this one way here, all right, you take that 7, and you can stack that now and make a second layer here and put the little finger right on that 1st string, which is the same fret the ring finger is on. You are now playing what's called a 9 chord. So if you ever see, like, for example, I'm playing right now a G9. How do I know it's a G9? That's a G. And that's a 9 chord right there. I can play that 9 anywhere. Now that's an A flat, so I'm playing a flat 9. There's a B flat 9. Okay, using this diagram right here. Okay, so that really is pretty cool. I can come up with a 9, and I can come up with a 7 just by moving the little finger. In fact, the little finger goes off for the 7 and goes on up here, just changes location for the 9. As long as I know what that root note is on this low E string. Okay, so that's how you can make a 9. So I think you kind of see hopefully where we're going with this. Now there's a minor 7 bar chord. So we know what a minor chord looks like, right? It's like, it's a regular minor chord, but what we're doing here is we're lifting that little finger up. All we do is just lift that little finger up, and then we bar all 5 of those. This is not an easy chord to do. That note right here that you just created with the pointer finger on that D string is usually a hard one for folks to do when they're not getting it. So that's, again, you always want to make sure you pick their notes first and get that to sound good, because that's what makes it a minor 7. A 7 right there. And guess what? You know the root. You can play this anywhere now. All right, so if I want to play a D flat minor 7, there's a D flat right here. You can play a D flat. So as long as you know where that root note is, you can play a minor 7 bar chord. And guess what? Just like with a major, I can play a minor 9. Back to that D flat. Same thing. You move the little finger, just like you did with the actual 7. And there you go. There's a minor 9. So far, just by moving that pinky around from the major and the minor chord that has the root note on the E string, so we worked off of this major chord, and this minor chord, you can already make a 7 and a 9, or a minor 7 and a minor 9, just by moving the pinky. That's all you got to do. Either taking it off and moving it to a different place. That's it. So, and if you can do that, if you understand where that root note is, you now have a whole repertoire. You just gained yourself, what, 20-something new chords. Now you can play it all the way up and all the way down. And that's how you can find the minor 9 bar chord. Now, with the root note on the on this string, here's the major chord, right? We played this with the barring with the ring finger across this fret here. Now, if we want to make a 7 bar chord, we're going to go in the same order here. We don't bar with this one. Now we're going to go back to barring with the pointer finger bars, and then the little finger joins in. See, again, we're moving the little finger. We're just raising that ring finger up to here, and then the little finger goes right there. All right, and it's the last 5 strings. So I went from here and make a 7 chord. How about that? Pretty cool. Now we want to make a major 7. I didn't get into that on the other chord. I'll show that in a second. Now we want to make a major 7 bar chord. Major 7 sounds very different than a dominant or just a regular 7 chord. They are very, very different. So if you see a chord written with the letter, the note, whether it's C, let's call it C, and you see like a capital M and then the number 7, that is not a C7. It is not a major C major chord. It's a C major 7. All right, there's a very different from a 7. So here's that 7 that I formed here that I just showed you. The major 7 brings the middle finger right here on the G string, right in between those two, the two frets here. And if you can hear that, there's a 7. They're very, very different sounding chords. But I can make a major 7 from that just by putting my middle finger right there. And again, the major 7 can be played anywhere. All right. Pretty cool. That's how you can do all this. Now, there's all kinds of other crazy, wacky chords that are out there. There's a minor 7 bar chord right here. I'm just kind of sorry, I just skipped ahead here because I only got so much time. So the minor 7 bar chord, the root note on the A string, which is right here. I'm going to stay right here. So that's pretty easy to make too. Again, the pinky is the one that makes the change. We play that chord, and then we lift up the little finger and have the pointer finger bar that. So you want to make sure that you hear it. And there's your minor 7 bar chord. Minor. Because if you don't hear that note, you don't hear the minor 7. You have to make sure that you hear that. So minor 7s are pretty common. So that's how you can form the minor 7. You can't really make a 9 out of that shape. That would be kind of weird. I don't think my finger stretches out that far. Okay, but there you can get a minor 7 with the root note here. So there's a couple different places you can play that minor 7. Play it here. This is the way I showed earlier. All right, pretty cool. So that's how you can form all this stuff just from the bar chords. I kind of think that's pretty cool. That gets me out of a bind when I need to come up with a major 7 or a minor 7. I can stop sharing the screen here. I'll come back to you. When I want to come come up with a major 7 or a minor 7 for whatever reason, that you know, I can form that really quick. That may not be the actual way the song is played with that major 7, or if it was a minor 7 or any one of those chords I just showed you, but it gets you out in a pinch. You're looking at a piece, you're looking at a chart, right? Or somebody's telling you, hey, play a C major 7 or you know, a D flat major 7. Well, I know what my D flat is, and I know that shape, and there's my D flat major 7. Gets me out of a bind. Maybe that's not the, because there's other ways of playing a major 7. This isn't the only way you can play it, but it gets you out of a pinch. Maybe you actually find out later it's played here, or it's, you know, played somewhere else. But right here is how it's played. And that's how you would do the same thing with all the bar chords that I showed. They're all kind of the same way. All right, and yeah, so that gets you out of a pinch. So you can see how the bar chords can be your friends if you let them be your friends and not your enemies. And I kind of like that. And it's gotten me out of jams many, many, many times. More times than I can imagine. Now, there are just 2 more that I'm going to show you. Let's go back. I'm going to share the screen real quick. So let me get to it. I still can't do this on my personal site. I wish I knew why. All right. So, all right, let me share the screen here real quick. There's only one other one that you'll see common, and these are called sus chords. Bumpity bump bump bump. Sorry, I'm gonna flip all the way up here. Okay. All right. So sus chords are right over. Here's one. Okay, sus 4 bar chord. Sus bar chord major. It's based off the major. Okay, so let's say we're playing the major like this. This is that major shape, and you take the little finger. All right, so you're barring with the ring finger still, but only on the middle 2 strings, and then you put your little finger here. All right, and that's called the sus chord, sus 4. All right, so there's a lot of stuff you hear like. That's called a sus 4. Now a sus 2, a little different. You take that same shape, but now I'm going to play, instead of putting like what I would put my little finger here for that 7 when I was doing the 7, instead of there, I'm going to put the little finger on the G string. And that's called the sus 2. That, my friends, if you play Rush music, that's a chord that Life sings a lot. That's a chord that's used quite a bit in Rush, like I said, but it is used quite a bit. And that's how you can just form that sus 2. Now, there's other ways you can play this sus chord, but in a pinch, sus 2 looks just like that. So you base it off of this major chord and just roll your pointer finger up to the tip there, and then put the little finger down, and away you go. And you have that sus 2. So those are 2 chords that would that do come up a lot in music as well. So it's kind of a good thing to know. All right. So. Okay, I'll stop sharing that screen. All right, so that is that's some quick and down and dirty easy ways. I hope that helped you out, and I hope that will help you out in the future. I can provide that diagram if you need it. Hopefully I think I could put that in my 6-string corner tab library. So if you want to go to the YouTube channel, if you're not on the YouTube channel, I have a thing called a link that I'll put it on there called the 6-string corner tab library. You click it on there. If you're not already in, you have to enter with your email, and then you get in there and you'll find all kinds of tabs. But this chord diagram will be in there, and you can grab that. And there's all kinds of tabs, all kinds of other stuff that I'll leave in that I do have in there, and it's being added to all the time. So. You might find some other songs or riffs that would be useful to you. All right. So again, thanks a lot for watching. If you have any questions, let me know. And if not, I am going to get rolling here on the live broadcast. If you are joining in on the following and afterwards, thank you for watching. Thank you for lasting this long. Sorry for the initial silence. That was kind of a little bit embarrassing, but I got the technical things figured out. Yeah, leave me a comment. Is there anything else you need to know? Any questions? If you're interested in guitar lessons, I do have online lessons. They are available. Just contact me, or I'll leave the link below, and you can join in and give you some more information, and you can come on in and take a few free lessons and see how it works for you. And then, you know, who knows, you might actually learn something, become a better player than where you are right now. And so that's about it. Thanks a lot for watching. I don't think I'm going to be on next week for the holiday week, but I will put a note out if I am. If I'm not, I'll see you in 2 weeks. I got some pretty cool stuff planned in July. And so we'll talk about that when we get there. All right. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody. I do appreciate you sticking around, and I will see you later. Rock on.